Good morning. Today we're going to do a little bit of fish fin work for you guys. I tried doing this before and unfortunately it took too long, and of course I couldn't load it. So I apologize this has taken so long to get it to you. But what we're going to do is a different type of fin, something that I don't know if there's a name for it. I started playing with it back when I was working with Devardi in my chicken coop and had a blast doing it, and I haven't done it in a while, so please forgive me if it's not ideal. What I did is I made a long fish body by just building a bead and flattening it, and this is going to be our goal. It's always my goal, but I very rarely achieve a beta that looks like that. But that's not important. What I want you to try here is the simple technique, well, I call it simple, but the technique of layering fins. Instead of pressing them or using a tool or, tweezers or whatever, what we're going to do is layer them on. I did this fish by making a bead, flattening it, kind of pulling out one side or the other. You can see he's not exactly beautiful, but that's okay. What I want you to see is how to make him have flowing fins. So I'm choosing colors similar to what I see in the picture. I like using yellow for demonstrations because you can see where the heat is. It helps you to know if your glass is a similar temperature to what you're laying on there. And see, all I'm doing is laying it on. I melt a bit. I go a little bit further on the fish and I just stretch it back. If it's too hot, don't worry about it. You got the other side to work with. Turn your fish upside down. Little insurance heat. Heat up enough glass and start and just lay it out. Pull it to the end and pull it to a point. The idea behind that is you want to lengthen it constantly. Let's see if I can do it from this angle so you can see what I'm doing. Here we go. And pull it out. Okay. And you just go back and forth. Do yourself a favor, start with a small fish, because really it's the fins you want to look so cool. Remember, while you're heating your glass, spin your fish a little bit, get your insurance heat up, don't burn your glass while you're doing it. This is definitely multitasking at its finest. I'm kind of doing it at a weird angle because I want you guys to kind of see what I'm doing. So that one came out funky. So we're going to heat it up and we're going to pull it where we want it. There we go. Yeah, this dude is definitely going to look funky, but that's okay. The idea is to have stripes of fins that flow. And if there's a little bit of gap, that's okay. If you ever really look at a beta, a lot of times their fins don't. They get little holes in them from wear and tear. And that's just part of looking like a beta. It's just the way they are. So I don't mind if there's a little bit of gap as long as it doesn't weaken the fish or the fins. And if it does, I go in and I'll melt it and pull it together. Okay. So you get the idea on that. We're going to do a couple more just to kind of fill him out. I don't want to go too long so that I can't upload the video because that's what happened last time. Build out the fins to the shape that you want. I want to start separating because they have a top and a bottom. Don't forget your insurance heat. Notice how the yellow stays a nice even orange. You can't tell what the temperature is on the blue. That's just the nature of the blue. Let me try doing it from this direction so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. I want to separate it now so that it flows down on its own and looks like a separate fin. There we go. You can add some pieces and pull it down. If you put too much heat on there, remember the glass is going to suck up on itself and it's going to get shorter. The goal here is to make it longer. Remember your insurance heat. The head and the body is going to be tricky because you're going to want to forget it because you're going to be focusing on your fins and burning your glass. Don't worry. This is what we all do when we're learning. It's a multitasking thing, you know. You got two hands, you're focusing at one end. We all do it. It's the practice part, you know, that we all hate hearing, the practice, practice, practice. But that's all it is. Use colors you don't like. Don't go for that really extraordinary dichro fish or anything at this point. Save your dichro. We're going to be doing dichro as a different challenge later on. We're already planning that, so we're going to have some fun. So don't worry about it. Save that glass. Play with your ugly colors. Make some ugly fish. But what I wanted to see here was I wanted you to see how I did the body. This mandrel doesn't go in its mouth. This is going to be a sculptural fish that's going to stick. When I'm done, I pull out a green stringer and I stick him on the green stringer. And then you stick that into a piece of wood or anything you want to stick it into, and you make a long leaf and you have a little fish swimming on your window. How cool is that? Now, betas have fins that come down. I kind of didn't put my mandrel in the right place, but we're going to go ahead and make him a fin that hangs down. Don't worry if it's not beautiful. We can adjust it. Just make sure it's well attached to the body. There we go. Okay, so that looks horrible. Not worried about it. Like I said, I haven't made one of these in a long time. Just make sure it doesn't stick to the mandrel. There we go. Oh, I need some insurance heat. I can see that my glass is getting cool. We don't want that. But while we're heating up the body and the tail, we want to make sure that the fin we just added does not flow down and touch the mandrel. Okay. I need some more insurance heat here. There we go. There we go. Now, this little fin looks awful to me. So, handy dandy scissors, heat it up away from the body, cut it in two, because there's two fins. See, he's cut in two. Insurance heat. Always insurance heat. There we go. That lets the fins stiffen up, because once I get them, I'm going to pull them down. I don't know if you can see in this picture. You can see how long they are. They also have blue tips, but we're not going to worry about that. He's nice and insured, so we're going to go back to the front. We're going to heat up one of them. Grab it, pull it. Oh, I only heated the tip, so I'm going to pull it down into a thread and get rid of it. Let the glass suck that up. There we go. Now we're going to heat the other one. Whoops, little insurance heat. There we go. Now we're going to heat that one up and try to do a better job of heating the whole fin, not just the tip. There we go. I'm going to grab it in the middle, pull it where I want it. Nope, again, didn't get it quite right, but that's okay. That's all right. This is just a practice, dude. I just want you to see what you can do. Now, insurance heat, everybody. Everything, I should say. Always be thinking insurance heat while you're heating your glass up. You can build up the tail fins if you want to. You can build up a fin from his head. They don't really have this fin, but I want to show you how you can do it. You start with a little glob. Add a little more. Keep insurance heating. Let that glob cool down. Add one from the other side. Let it cool down while you're insurance heating. There we go. Okay. Now, a lot of your sculptural work needs to be done while your glass is not flowing hot. You want it to be warm and moving, but you don't want it to be glowing and really going. So, there we go. Get it where you want it. Flame cut it. Haha! Little dude has a funky thing on his head. It's not natural. Doesn't matter. We're making a fantasy fish. Now, eyes, a little bit of white, whoops, insurance heat. When you're getting other stuff, try to remember to put the body into the glass. Oh, I'm losing my little fantasy fin there. That's all right, I'm gonna suck him up. There we go, let it curve. Okay, I'm gonna aim it at his body while I get everything else ready. Now, I don't wanna lose my fantasy fin, so I'm just gonna heat a little bit of white. You can use Peter tweezers to make sure that you have it exactly on either side of his body. If you're into that sort of thing, you know, you just pinch it, it gives you marks, and then you fill your marks. For the sake of our little fantasy fish here, we're not going to bother with that. I'm keeping the tail and the body warm without melting my fantasy fins. I'm going to melt that eye in. There we go, just enough, just enough. And then your stringer in the edge of your flame. Get it hot, touch it where you want it, take it out of the flame, cut it, round it. Don't lose your fantasy fins. Okay, grab your black. Now, I use a little bitty, I have a graphite marver. One side is rounded, one side is flat. Very cheap little tool. I use it for Marini, I use it for all sorts of things. In this case, I'm going to use it to just flatten the eye. Losing my fantasy fin, but that's okay. In a minute, I can re-stretch it. There we go. What I need is a tighter flame. Some insurance heat. Get your stringer ready. There we go. A little dot. The dot is rarely, if you really want it to look realistic, don't put it in the middle. Put it in the front, put it in the back. If you put it right in the middle, the fish looks like he's terrified, or whatever creature you're working on looks like they're terrified. I tend to put them just in the front so that they look like they're looking forward. Grab my little piece of graphite. I use the flat end, and I give it a little mush. Ta-da! Eye's done. If you want to add texture, this is a good time to do it. If you need to correct anything, this is a good time to do it. Here we go. Having the pinpoint flame helps. Here we go. Now, that fantasy fin. Let's bring that back where we want it. Warm it up. Let it cool. Oh, too much. Grab it. Pull it back out where you want it. Cut it off. Our fantasy fin is back. We can do the same with the front. Aim at your front fin. Heat it up. It does not have to be straight. Half the fun of it is if it's going in a different direction. There we go. This one's kind of got a little whoop-de-doo going there. He looks like one of those deep water fish. Doesn't look like a beta at all. Does not matter. We are playing here. We are learning. Whoops! And we are popping off. But that is okay. That's because I didn't insurance heat. It's alright. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to dunk him. I'm going to put him in the kiln, and if I wanted to, I could just rebuild that. I could just heat this right up and rebuild it. But because of video time, video length, and getting this loaded up so that you guys can see this, I'm not going to do that because otherwise you're never going to see this at the rate I'm going. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. You've got the idea. You can add little spots. You know, texture. He's your fish. Do what you want. There's a tool that you can grab at most hardware stores. Will give you texture if you want it. You heat your fish up. Usually you do this before your fins. Press it against it and instant scales. About a $2 tool at the dollar store. Anyways, that's a good way to play. So give that a try, and I will put some pictures up of some that came out pretty good and look really decent, and you can get a better idea. Thank you for joining me with Fins and Wings.